sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson is calling out Olympic and anti-doping officials after Russian skater Kamila Valieva, I don't know if I said that right, was allowed to compete despite testing positive for a banned drug. In a series of tweets, the sprinter shared some valid points surrounding the decision to allow Valieva to compete. Can we get a solid answer on the difference of her situation and mine's? My mother died and I can't run and was also favored to place top 3. The only difference I see is I'm a Black young lady. Richardson won the 100-meter race at the U.S. Olympic trials early last summer. Still, after it was revealed that she had tested positive for THC, the intoxicant in marijuana, she was denied a chance to compete at the Tokyo Olympics. Demario, I'm going to start with you on this. You know, I think it's really interesting how them's the rules when it comes to Black folks in competing versus when it comes to Russia. Russia just says, I don't give a damn about rules. You're about to invade a country. They always got some dope mess going on. They're always skirting around the issues. And this is another example, and I'm sensitive to the fact that this is a 15-year-old skater. She's underage. She's quote unquote a protected person as according to the ruling, and that's why the rules aren't applied the same way. But what are your thoughts on the double standard here?
Well, it's a double standard. We just heard from that fantastic, powerful delegate. You know, being a Black woman is the hardest job in America. It's the hardest job in the world. No question about it. And we're seeing another example of this. Regardless of what you call it, it's just racial discrimination, it's anti-Black behavior. You have a Black young lady, Sha'Carri Richardson, who was kicked out of the Olympics for testing positive for marijuana. Okay, fine. If that's the rule, I don't think that was really what should have happened, but if that's the rule, that's the rule. Now you have a white young lady who has tested positive for some type of banned substance, and she's allowed to compete. That is racism. That is discrimination. I'm not exactly sure what jurisdiction the IOC falls underneath, but if there can be a lawsuit filed for 1981, that's the case, a 1981 race discrimination case. This is the case. And she also stated in her tweet that there is not one Black athlete that has a positive test that is allowed to compete. If that is true, this should be a class action lawsuit. It's like what the delegate just stated. It's time to stand up. This is not a time to retreat. This is a time to not to retreat, but to move forward. This is not a time to be quiet, but to speak. This is not a time to sit down, but to stand up. And that's what it's going to take. People like Sha'Carri Richardson getting with lawyers from around this nation who are not afraid to take these cases, fight these cases, and win these cases. It's ridiculous.
You know, I appreciate your passion on this, and I'm with you, Demario, but you know, Mustafa, look, I'm not reading the comments, I don't have it up, but I already know how we can be. We can be as hard on each other as the white folks are in terms of them's the rules, and she shouldn't have been breaking the rules, and we shouldn't be dying on the hill of a person who violated the rules. But there's a part of me that feels like, well, the rules are only the rules when they want them to be. And when they don't want them to be, then the rules all of a sudden change. They just never seem to change when it comes to showing grace to Black athletes. This isn't just a Sha'Carri Richardson issue. We see that Black athletes are disproportionately targeted. Look at how many times Serena Williams has been drug tested over and over and over and over again. You know, and then we've had other athletes like Caster Semenya who was targeted with testing about her gender. I mean, I could go on. And even a couple months back, there was slander about the great Florence Griffith Jr., you know, making this baseless accusation that she was doping. And so this is one of those things that it's always seems to be about penalizing or targeting Black athletes. But then you have a Lance Armstrong, and then you have this Russian skater, and then all of a sudden we have grace. All of a sudden we're making provisions. What is your take on that?
Well, all Black athletes are asking for is equity and fairness in the process. I mean, I ran track all through college and a little bit afterwards. And, you know, I used to see, you know, the disparities that existed between the way Black athletes and others, primarily white athletes, were treated in relationship to if they was a perceived violation or those different types of things. So folks are just asking for equity and justice. And let's be very clear here. You know, when Sha'Carri Richardson her situation. You know, the substance that she had, and you mentioned it was THC, that is not a performance enhancing drug. Now, the sister from Russia, she actually used a performance enhancing drug. And then today, you know, her legal team came out and said, well, she probably, accidentally got it because of her grandfather, because the particular chemical actually, improves your heart's performance in the blood. So that you can, run faster, jump higher, those different types of things. So once again, we see these disparities that exist between someone who didn't use a performance-enhancing drug and someone who did, and then even being allowed to continue to compete. So folks are just asking for equity and justice.
Absolutely. And Teresa, I'll give you the last word on this. Where do you come down on this situation when it comes to Sha'Carri and calling out this double standard? Do you think that she is within her rights to call it out, even though she did, in fact, break the rules? Or do you think she should probably just sit this one out?
No, I think Sha'Carri was absolutely in her rights. I mean, look, we can't, only ask for us to be treated fairly if we're not being treated fairly. Mm-hmm. So part of it is, the excuses that has been coming up ever since Sha'Carri has put this out there was, the young lady, Valieva, probably her name, but the young Russian woman, they said she was a minor and she's a protected person. So, her rules are a bit different than adults. But, to Mustafa's point, THC is a relaxing drug versus, an actual performing drug, which apparently they knew in December of last year. And when Sha'Carri got in her situation, they knew within that week. And so endorsement deals and everything else went by the hem. So I think, when we want to talk about justice, we want to talk about equality and just across the board, not only for athletes, but just for us as a people. Sha'Carri was very clear. Because of the color of my skin, this is why I'm in this situation. And honestly, the facts show. It shows that this was one of the many reasons. One, it's just not the color of her skin, is because she was a high-performing athlete. And she would have likely taken home the gold. So, again, if we can't have the rules only for one particular group of people, it has to be fair across the board. And I think, the U.S. absolutely needs to step up, not only for Sha'Carri, but for the many others that'll likely happen after her.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm going to stick beside Sha'Carri. I stand with Sha'Carri.
Backdrop Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share
who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared. You dig?